Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good day, everyone. Welcome to NSMO. The National Olympiad for Mathematics and Science is a program offered by the King Abdulaziz and his companions Foundation for Giftings and Creative Mawhiba. We will focus on the biology track, embarking in our first journey in this program through the phase one, which consists of 6 comprehensive chapters, combined by intensive training exercise designed to ensure full mastery of all required learning objectives. So be tuned. Before we start taking anything, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Hussein Al Ali, and I will be your instructor for this biology lectures. And now we will focus on the chapter 1, cell structure and function. As we see, the chapter 1, structure and function, contains many subjects. The first one, the cell, characteristics of living organisms, cell theory, differences between plant and animal cells, components of the cell, cellular structures, membrane structure, and finally, transport of substance across the membrane. And don't be worried, we will talk about every single one of them, and inshallah, we will cover all of them. Today's lecture is titled The Cell and the Characteristics of Living Organisms. Before diving into the details, think about this. All the complexity in your body, your brain, your muscles, your heart, your skin, start from one small unit called the cell, and we will talk about it in details. In this lecture, we will discuss as following: the concept of the cell, the types of cell with illustrative examples for each type, the organizational levels in living organisms, the characteristics of living things such as organization, growth, reproduction, response, exertion, and adaptation. And guys, please be focused on following. This slide reminds us of a very important idea in biology. The cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms. This means every living thing is made of cell structural rule. All live process happen inside cells that we called it functional rule. And there's 2 main types of cells. The first one, prokaryotic cells, simple, not true nucleus, and for example, bacteria. Here, bacteria, okay? The other one, eukaryotic cells, more complex, have true membrane bound nucleus because we call the nucleus membrane. Example, animal planet cells. The picture shows the difference. Prokaryotic cells on the left, simple. Eukaryotic cells on the right with the nucleus and organelles. That's the important things to know between them. Okay, this slide shows how living organisms are organized from the smallest level to the largest. Cells refers to everything inside the plasma membrane, including the cytoplasm and the nucleus. The other one, tissue, a group of similar cells that perform the same function. The third one, organ, a group of specialized tissue that perform specific function. And the last one is a system, a group of organs that work together to perform particular function. So these, what we called it, the levels for organizations in living organisms. This slide shows the 4 levels in a simple visual form. First, we have a single cell. Similar cells group together to form a tissue, right? Different tissues combine to form an, yes guys, organ. Several organs work together as a system. Okay, while explaining, point at each part of the diagram. For example, the human body, on muscle cell in your arm, many similar muscle cells, muscle tissue, together with other tissues, they form a muscle. An organ combined with bones and joints, they become part of what we called it musculoskeletal system. Okay, let me give you a question for you guys. Do non-living objects like rock or chairs show this sequences cell, tissue, organ system? What do you think, guys? So this level organization is special features of living organisms. Okay, guys. Now we move on to exercise 1, and this is exercise connects directly with what we learned earlier about the levels of organization. Take a look at the figure on the screen. This organ is the liver, okay guys? One of the largest and most important organs in the human body. The question we need to answer: which of the following statement does not correctly describe the figure? So remember, we are looking for the statement that is not true about an organ. Look here, not correctly true about an organ. Let's go through each option together, step by step, just like we analyze features of cells, tissues, and organs early. Let's see the options. The first one, performs several functions. B, composed of many specialized cells. C, made up of tissues that have the same function. And D, has a role in one of the body's system. Think about it, guys. Okay, option A, performs several functions. So this statement is true. So true, it means we don't need it. Why it's true, this statement? The liver performs multiple vital functions, including detoxifying the blood, producing bile, requiring nutrients, and storing glycogen. Okay, so this is option accurately describes an organ. Okay, what do you think, guys, about B? B also not correct, because the statement is true. Why? All organs are built from specialized cells that work together. Okay, in the case of the liver, these include cells called hepatocytes, okay, connective tissue cells, and others. So option B is also a correct description, so we don't need it. What about option C? Option C is the right one. Why it's the right one? Because the statement is not correct. Because this description fits a tissue, not an organ, and we need organ. Earlier, we learned that a tissue group of similar cells performing the same function, but an organ, several different tissues working together to perform many functions. So the liver contains multiple types of tissues, each doing different tasks. So this statement does not accurately describe an organ. Okay, let's continue. Even we know the answer. Let's know why D is also the statement's right. Because the liver participates in the digestive system and also support other systems such as circulatory and metabolic system. Okay, guys. So the final Answer is, as we said, C, because it's incorrectly describe the structure of an organ. Okay, guys? So this exercise help you to apply what you learned before. Okay, guys? The learn the difference between cells, tissues, organs, and system. Okay, guys? Now we move to a new part of our lecture, characteristics of living organisms. The first characteristics is organizations. The slide states organizations is the presence of organized structures that begin with the cell and end with the organ system. This link, as you see it here, look at guys, this link directly to what we discussed earlier. All, which is a living organisms, is not just a random mass of materials. It has clear biological levels, as we said before, cell to tissue, tissue to organ, organ to system, and system it to body. Example, in human, nerve cells give us nervous tissue, give us brain as organ, give us nervous systems. Other example, plants, branchiomics cells in a leaf, mesophilic tissue, give us leaf organ, shoot systems. Okay, now living things like water or air do not show this type of biological organization. So having these levels from cell to system is a key, what we called it, characteristics of life. The second one is the growth. Okay, the slide defines growth as an increase in size and mass. Scientifically, growth in living organisms usually involves an increase in number of cells. Look guys here, that we have to increase the number, many of numbers of cells by cells division, and increases in cell size or both. Example, a child growing into a teenager and then an adult. This involves millions and billions of controlled cell divisions. In a plant, a seed germinates and develops into a seedling, okay, and then into a trees. This is due to active cells division in growth regulation. Okay, does a car grow the same way? No, a car does not grow by itself. We added parts from outside. So self-driving biological growth is a key characteristic of living organisms. Okay, the third characteristic is reproduction. The slide defines reproduction as an increase in the number of individuals of the species. Reproduction is essential for the continuity of species. If reproduction completely stops in a species, it will be eventually go extinct. It will not be existed. Type of reproduction include sexual reproductions, involve two parents, as you see here. Two parents, one, two, and different gametes creates greater genetics variation. Example, human, most animal, many plants. Or asexual reproduction. Here we call it asexual because it's one organisms. Does not involve the fusion of gametes, usually produce genetically identical offspring colonies. Example, binary fusion in bacteria, budding in hydra, vegetative reproduction in the same plants. If a living organisms never reproduce and no new individual and produce, the population size will drop over time and the species may disappear. So reproductions is really necessary. The fourth characteristics is energy acquisition. This slide states energy acquisition through the oxidation of food directly in heterotrophic organisms, while autotrophic organisms produce their own food. We can divide organisms into two main groups. Heterotrophics cannot produce their own food, depends on the organisms for nutrition like human, animal, or most bacteria. The oxidized food, okay guys, molecules like glucose in cellular respiration to release energy. On the other hand, as here we see that one, autotrophic organisms can produce their own food from simple substance like this plants by a mechanism called photosynthesis. Okay. The other characteristics of living organisms is response, which is the ability to sense internal and external stimuli and produce an appropriate reaction, like plant move to touch stimulus, or as we say here, plant growing towards lights, we called it phototropism, or human reflex arc, we call it pulling hand away from heat. Okay, this is we called it response. The other one, exhaustion. During metabolism, cells produce waste products that can be toxic if they accumulate. So living organisms have system to remove these waste. Okay, guys, like a human exhales carbon dioxide, the kidney remove nitrogen, waste in urine, plant release oxygen, and many of examples. This slide shows different examples of adaptation, which means structural or behavioral changes that help organisms survive in their environment. Look, we have first duck foot versus camel foot. Ducks have webbed feet to swim in water, while camels have wide, padded feet to walk on sand. So this is our structural adaptation. Okay. Plant roots. Plants in dry environment develop a deep or wide roots to absorb as much water as possible. This helps them survive with limited water. So when it's dry, it's going down. Okay. And also we have here bat at night. Bats use what we called it echolocation to find food in the dark. So this is behavioral adaptation that helps human hunt at night. The last one, fish swimming in schools. Fish group together in schools to protect themselves from predators. So this is behavior increase the chance of survival. So all these examples show how living organisms adjust to their environment to stay alive. So now we move to exercise 2. This exercise check your understanding of the characteristic of life that we discussed before. So we have this question. Which of the following examples represent a behavioral adaptation? Is desert plant close to their stomata during this day? Or the presence of the hair of the leaves of some desert plants? Birds that feed on nectar have a long tube-shaped back, or the camel has a hump to store water and feed. So the right answer is A, because this is an action that plant perform to reduce water loss, so it counts as behavioral adaptation. Okay, guys? So this is the right answer. Before we end, let's quickly summarize. We understood the concept of the cell as the basic structure and functional unit of life. We distinguish it between two main cell types: prokaryotic cell, simple without true nucleus; eukaryotic cells, complex with true nucleus and organelles. We explored the levels of organization in living organisms, from protoplasm to tissue to organ system, with example from human and plants. We reviewed the characteristics of living organisms, including organizations and the end of characteristics. So this is the idea for foundation for our future lecture. We will study cell structure and function in more detail. Thank you for your attention, your focus, and your participation today. You are a group of talented students. I'm proud of you guys. So see you in the next lecture. So long.